It's 2006, and I'm at my day job at Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, that's the one, you've heard of it. Yeah. I'm a few months into my gig as a translator and interpreter at this prison that has already become a very dark, dark stain on our country's reputation. But I'm 26 years old, and I'm taking this job very seriously. I've come here to provide a service to the prisoners. I don't know if these guys have done bad things, but our military has been interrogating them for 4 years now, and they don't seem to know either. I do believe, however, that the men in this prison deserve to speak with someone who understands them, someone who knows their languages and their cultures. At least that's what I tell myself when I accept my paychecks. Also, I'm 26, and I still believe that men deserve things. Now you might be looking at me and thinking, oh, she's Pakistani, she probably went there to work in Urdu. Sure, that's what everyone at Guantanamo thought too when I arrived. And yes, I do speak Urdu, but that's not why I was there. I had been hired to work in Uzbek and Russian. And now you're thinking, wow, Sofia, that's amazing. What is Uzbek and why do you speak Russian? Well, a few years prior, I had been living in a remote desert village in the former Soviet Central Asian Republic of Uzbekistan, which happens to share a small border with Afghanistan. And I lived in that tiny village for 3 years. You know, it was your typical quarter-life crisis situation. By which I mean I had joined the Peace Corps. And my job was to teach English at the village school, and that was a job that I did poorly. But what I did do very well in those 3 years was learn all the local languages. Because I'm a nerd, and I talk a lot, and nobody there spoke English, so I did what I had to do. So when I heard that the global war on terror was looking for American citizens who could speak Uzbek and Russian, I was quick to capitalize on that opportunity. Or as my friends put it, I went from Peace Corps to War Corps. And now here I am at Guantanamo Bay. And it's a hot, sticky day on the island, and I've just been summoned to the cell blocks because an officer has requested an Uzbek interpreter. Now, these particular cell blocks are a part of an outdoor camp that sits within a perimeter of chain link fences and the fences are completely covered in dark green tarps so that you can't see through them. And there's just tons and tons of barbed wire on top of everything, everywhere you look. And looming over the camp from every direction are many, many guard towers. And I'm in the camp now, and I'm walking on this gravelly road, and on either side of me, there are rows of cages. Okay, they called them cells there. The vocabulary at Guantanamo is carefully crafted. Prisoners are not prisoners, they're detainees. Interrogations are interviews. If you're an American and you speak another language, you're a linguist. And these cages are cells. And inside the cells are a bunch of brown men from a bunch of different countries, and they're all in the same tan prison scrubs, and many of them have dark, scraggly beards per Islamic traditions. And again, this is an outdoor camp, so these men can hear the waves of the Caribbean Sea all day and all night, but they never get to see the water. And I see on their faces despair and frustration and a growing disdain for their American captors, who happen to be my bosses. And normally they only send men to the cell blocks, because usually when there's a call to the cell blocks, it means that something kind of intense is happening. You see, these guys have been there for 4 years, and after 4 years of being locked up, sometimes they have good days where they're able to tolerate the situation, and sometimes they have bad days where they have no choice but to express their anger and their frustration in any way that they can. And sometimes A cell block call means that someone is expressing so much that the guards are about to assemble an ERF. ERF stands for Emergency Reaction Force. That's what they called it when a team of guards in full riot gear would bust into a cell and pin the guy down with a giant riot shield. And then they would gather around him, grab his arms and legs, and drag him off to who knows where to do who knows what kind of terrible, unspeakable things. Now, I haven't seen any of those things, but I follow the news. I know they're bad. And so, and when an ERF happens, there's a lot of shouting of commands. And that's why they need translators there to translate those commands. And that's why they usually send a man. Because can you imagine a 5'0", 26-year-old brown American woman shouting commands at bearded brown men in cages? Things like, get down on the ground now and put your hands on your head. It would be pretty ridiculous. But there are no male Uzbek speakers on the island. So here I am, making my way through the cell blocks and just praying that I'm not about to participate in an ERF situation. So I put my eyes on the ground and I pick up my pace and I can hear the commotion before I even get there. And I get to the cell and I take in the scene. On the inside of the cell is detainee number 357. He's a young Uzbek man, early 20s, who most likely found himself across the border in Afghanistan at the wrong place at the wrong time. And he is having a bad day. He is pacing furiously and he's ranting and raving in Uzbek. And on the outside of the cell is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, clean-shaven American soldier in a desert camo uniform. And he's also very young. Can't be much older than 18. But now he's a prison guard, and he's been assigned to babysit what he's been told are the bad guys. He doesn't know what they've done either, but he knows there must be some reason for why they're in these cages. I'm looking at two young men from opposite sides of the planet who both ended up in the same horrible place. And now there's also me. I'm only a few years older than these guys, and now I'm supposed to help them get through whatever it is that's happening here? Am I even able to do that? Like, what if I mess up? What if I make a mistake? What if I mistranslate something and that Uzbek kid gets earthed or worse? That's not what I came here for. And I'm not trained in mediation or de-escalation or anything like that. I'm not even trained in translation. Apart from knowing the languages, the only training I got when I started this job was from another linguist who said, whatever you do, just translate the words that are being spoken. Don't add anything, don't change anything, don't have any side conversations with the detainees. You don't want to be seen as a sympathizer. But 357 is in a rage. And now he's spewing insults in Russian. And let me tell you, Russian cursing is very colorful and very specific. He's saying things like, "Ёб твою мать в пизду и в жопу кривым острым хуем с бородавками и навозным говном." Gross. Ugh. And now I'm worried that if I do my job well, if I translate accurately the words he's saying, if I don't make any mistakes, will that get him in trouble? Like, I don't know what to do in this situation. But the guard is not fazed at all. He is standing firm, feet planted, arms tightly crossed, and he is glaring through the bars at 357 in the cell. And without even turning to look at me, he says, "He's cussing me out, ain't he?" And I think, oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. This kid might be young, but he's a smart kid. He gets it. He knows what's going on. Maybe I won't have to translate the specific disgusting words. So I just nod and say, yep, he's cussing you out. But then 357 stops abruptly. It's been 4 years. They've all learned a bit of English by now, too. He stops abruptly, and he marches right up to the cell bars, and he looks at me straight in the eyes, and he says, no, you tell him. You tell him what I'm saying, every single word. You tell him. Well, it is my job to translate. So that's what I do. Every single word. Okay, well, he would like you to, your mother, in her, and also her, with a crooked donkey that's covered in, let's see, warts and manure, and also I told you it was gross. I watched the guard process the words. He goes from disgust to confusion to an almost delighted appreciation for the creativity of the insults. And he chuckles for a moment, but then he goes right back to his tough guy face and he goes, Roger that, bud. Which I translate as, okay, my friend. 357 opens his mouth to speak again, and I brace myself for more colorfully repulsive suggestions for what this guard should do with his mother. But he's calmer now. He's calmer now. He takes a deep breath. He speaks quietly this time. And he says, Yangi tapuchki kerak. Tapuchki beraslama. I need new flip-flops. Will you give me flip-flops? We look at his feet. His shoes are falling apart. That's what this whole rant was about. We went from vile Russian cursing, from this, to can I get some flip-flops? The guard just scoffs. He goes, he didn't do that. He scoffs and he says, sure, and he walks away. And then I'm released and I start walking back to my apartment on the base. And I feel relieved and maybe also a little bit satisfied. I can't do anything to get this kid out of that cage. But I did my job. And I hope that I've at least helped him feel heard and understood. And I hope that a new pair of cheap plastic sandals will give him back even the slightest bit of dignity in an impossibly hopeless situation. Thank you.